Very good morning, cadets. I am confident that you have gone through my previous video related to the keynotes of various chapters from history. I am very glad and happy. Today I was watching video posted by Pihu Tiwari, a very studious and very sincere student, writing all the keynotes and highlighting the points in the history chapter. I am very happy because very sincere and studious qualities definitely make you reach to a greater height. I hope and feel other cadets also doing the same. If not, please make a good timetable so that you will not miss any points from the academics. Thank you very much. Today let us discuss about the key notes of chapter 3, that is Delhi Sultanates 1206 to 1526, and this video is for 28th of January. Delhi first became the capital of a kingdom under Tomara Rajputs. So Tomara Rajputs who ruled Delhi, who were defeated by that we use to make Chauhans, or also called as Chahamanas. So Tomara Rajputs were defeated by Chauhans of Ajmer. The transformation of Delhi into a capital that controlled vast areas of subcontinent started with the foundation of the Delhi Sultanate in the beginning of 13th century. So Delhi as a capital city started gaining lot of importance only the later medieval Indian history. But very surprisingly, after downfall of Mughals, British were not interested to concentrate on administration in Delhi. Major reason is that the excess of seaport was not there. That's the reason. Delhi was not a major trading center at that time. That's why British captured or concentrated in headquarters in Bombay Presidency, Madras Presidency and Bengal Presidency. Only after revolt of 1857, British started concentrating on Delhi. Before that, Delhi was not so prominent after the downfall of Mughals. The transformation of Delhi into a capital that controlled vast areas of subcontinent started with the foundation of Delhi Sultanates in the beginning of 13th century. Rulers of Delhi. Tomara Rajputs ruled early 12th century, that is 1165 time period. Chauhans or Chahamanas ruled from 1165 to 1192, and Prithviraj Chauhan, a notable or a famous king from Chauhan dynasty. Prithviraj Chauhan time period is 1175 to 1192. Slave dynasty. If you remember, the invaders, they hired slaves who are physically well built to lead the army or military expeditions. They were known as Bandagans. The Bandagans or the slave dynasty, over a period of time, they themselves established their rule in India. That's the reason why they are called as slave dynasty. 1206 to 1290. Then we speak about Khilji dynasty. Alauddin Khilji, Jalaluddin Khilji. Whenever we speak about various dynasties, please remember few important kings belong to that particular dynasty. This primary or the preliminary understanding of history is definitely useful for you in future, because whenever you write any competitive examination in future, definitely Indian history is a major part of the question paper in the general awareness topic, even for UPSC. So slave dynasty 1206 to 1290, then Khilji dynasty 1290 to 1320, Tughlaq, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Tughlaq dynasty ruled from 1320 to 1414. So famous king of Tughlaq dynasty, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Sayyid dynasty ruled from 1414 to 1451. And Lodi dynasty ruled from 1451 to 1526. Because why Lodi dynasty remembered more? Because involvement of dynasty is there in the first battle of Panipat, because downfall of Lodis led to the rise and formation of a new kingdom called Mughal Empire by Babur. So 1526, the first battle of Panipat, first battle of Panipat 1526 led the formation of the Mughal kingdom. So Delhi was ruled by Tomara Rajput, Chauhans, slave dynasty, Khilji dynasty, Tughlaqs, Sayyid and Lodi. Can you name the women ruler of Delhi? The first women ruler of Delhi. Yeah, Razia Begum or Razia Sultana. Okay. Let us proceed to the next slide. Finding out about Delhi Sultans. Inscriptions, coins and architecture provide a lot of information about Delhi Sultans. Further, valuable source are histories or Tariq or Tawarik. This we studied in very detail. Tariq is singular, Tawarik is plural. Tariq and Tawarik, written in Persian, the language of administration under Delhi Sultans. So Persian was the language of administration under Delhi Sultans. The authors of Tawarik were learned men, secretariats, administrators, poets and the courtiers who both recounted events and advised the rulers on governance, emphasizing the importance of a just rule. Now, what is just rule? Just rule is nothing but fair rule. Not the fair and lovely is fair. Fair in the sense, each according to his requirement, each according to his need. And today it is popularly known as a rule of law. Rule of law means every person is seen equal before the law. That is what we speak about, a rule of law. So Tawarik mentioned that the Delhi Sultans gave a lot of importance to the rule of law, that is called just rule by the just or in a rule of law manner. From garrison town to empire. Whenever we discussed about garrison town, because it's very common that when we construct a home, we construct a strong compound wall. In case if you are constructing a villa, in today's concept, other independent house. When there is an independent house, definitely we will have a fencing or compound. So that what is the importance of fencing or compound wall? So that our house is protected. The same way, the kings and the emperors, they constructed huge wall to protect the palace and other important material sources, to protect the market, to protect palace, to protect treasury. So huge walls. Naturally, later they are called as garrison towns. So from garrison town to empire. In the early 13th century, the control of Delhi sultans rarely went beyond heavily fortified towns occupied by garrisons. So fortified towns means the towns which are covered by a fort. When you travel near Shivaji Chowk in Bijapur, definitely if you see to the right side of when you are traveling from Sainik School to Shivaji Chowk, towards your right and left side you can see the fortified town. Bijapur, the fort of Bijapur was very, very popular or very strong fort those days. It is only attacked by Aurangzeb, dismantled in some areas and entered inside the fort and defeated Adil Shahis of Bijapur. Otherwise, Bijapur also a fortified town. When you visit Gol Gumbaz, if you reach to the Whispering Gallery or top of Gol Gumbaz, you can see, definitely you can observe this fortified town of Bijapur. So, fortified towns occupied by garrisons. Delhi's authority was challenged by Mongols and by governors who rebelled at any sign of Sultan's weakness. It was very, very common that the frequent attack by the Mongols, because I told you Mongolians are the tribal, physically well built. I repeat, physically well built, because those days warfare is only mainly depend on your physical strength. Today we have machineries. Today warfare is more of mental war, means we need mind game rather than physical strength. But those days the Mongols, of course, they were a tribal group, they were physically well built and they were using trained horse. So the trained horses and the physically well built Mongols, they used to attack frequently. As a result, the Delhi sultans in between, they were defeated several times. As a result, it was very, very challenging for them. So by governors who rebelled at any sign of sultan's weakness. Whenever the emperor became weak, naturally the Samantas or subordinates, they rebelled against the king. It's very common when, in a lighter note, if you are a strong class monitor, the entire class will be very silent in the absence of teacher. But if you have weak class monitor, naturally every Tom, Dick and Harry will shout. That's very common. So that is what governors rebelled whenever administration at Delhi became weak. The expansion of Delhi Sultanate took place under the reign of Balban, Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad bin Tughlaq. What this sentence explains that Balban, Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad bin Tughlaq, they expanded their kingdom beyond Delhi. So they captured nearby places and expanded their kingdom. So Balban, Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad bin Tughlaq are responsible for expansion or glorification or increasing the territorial boundary of their respective kingdoms. Can you able to identify or recall the time period of Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad bin Tughlaq? If you have done so, that is an excellent memory. Let us move to the next slide, that is administration and consolidation of the empire. To have reliable governors, the early Delhi sultans, especially Iltutmish, favored their special slaves purchased for military service called Bandagan in Persian. Whenever you get an opportunity, read Shakespeare's Othello. Othello, of course, hero of that entire Shakespearean drama, but he is a slave. The same way, the slave trade was very common in the past. So, the bandagans or slaves were used for the military service. Once again, I repeat, it is purely because of the physical well-builtness or the fitness. The Khiljis and Tughlaqs continued to use bandagans and raised the people of humble birth who were their clients to high positions like governors and generals. So, governors or the generals were the bandagans or the slaves, but who got an origin of a humble birth. Why humble birth? Because so that they won't rebel against their masters. That is the reason why the slaves were used, because they should be always obedient to their masters. That's the reason why whenever they selected bandagans, they were very, very particular about certain important elements like humble birth and all. So that is what we speak about bandagans. The Khilji and Tughlaqs appointed military commanders as governors of territory of varying sizes. So Khilji dynasty and Tughlaqs, they appointed commanders as governors of territory, because by appointing governors it is easy for the administration. That's the reason why they appointed governors in various territories. These lands were called as Iqta and the holders was called as Mufti or Iqtadar. So Iqtadar or Mufti was a post, a person who was holding of Iqta. Iqta is a land. The person who is holding a Iqta was called as Iqtadar. The duty of Mufti to lead military campaign and maintain law order in their Iqtas. It is just like today what the DC, district collector, is doing. The same, maintain law and order and responsible for collection of taxes. The same way those days it is his duty to, whenever the king needs the military strength, so it is his responsibility to help in the military campaign as well as maintain law and order. In return, Muftis collected revenues of their assignments as salary. They also paid their they paid salary to the soldiers from the revenue. The last slide of this chapter. Under Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad Tughlaq, accountants were appointed to check amount collected by Muftis. As Delhi sultans brought the hinterland of the cities under their control, they forced the Samantas and the rich landlord to accept the authority. The attack of Mongols under Genghis Khan forced Khiljis and Tughlaqs to mobilize a large standing army. The sultanates of 15th and 16th century. The Tughlaqs and Sayyids and Lodi dynasty ruled from Delhi and Agra until 1526. By then Jaunpur, Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan and the entire South India had a independent rulers who had established flourishing state and prosperous capitals. The new ruling dynasties like Afghans and Rajputs also arose during the period. In 1526, Mughals established their empire, though for a brief period, Suri dynasty ruled from 1540 to 1555, and administration became model for Akbar, the Mughal emperor. Sher Shah Suri, you have to remember Sher Shah Suri's name. Sher Shah Suri, leading king from Suri dynasty, because Sher Shah Suri Grand Trunk Road, considered as even today, it is one of the greatest contribution and the example for fine planning. So later, when Akbar he became emperor of Mughals, he copied, rather followed a lot of planning from the administrative system of Suri dynasty. So Tughlaq's Sayyid Lodi ruled from Delhi and Agra till what? Till the first battle of Panipat, that is 1526. By then, Jaunpur, Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and entire South India had independent rulers who established flourishing state and prosperous capital. You have to remember these points, very important, because Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and South India, all these territories were ruled by the independent kings, and their capital were very rich. That's the reason why, if you remember, why Belur and Halabedu was attacked, because Halabedu was considered as one of the richest area in south. Not only that, why Hampi was attacked, because Hampi considered as most prosperous place during the Vijayanagara empire. So the South Indian rich kingdoms were attacked by the invaders as well as North Indian kings, mainly for the purpose of looting wealth and destroying the temples. So cadets, today we completed the activity of chapter number 3, that is chapter number 3, history, Delhi Sultanates from 1206 to 1526. So please write down. Of course, there is no need to say please, because you have to write down, very important for your examination point of. Take care. Wish you a wonderful day. Thank you.